just about 11 a.m., so I'm going to get started. And again, for anyone new who's joining, I don't know if anyone's new who's joined, but feel free, please, to add comments and questions as you're watching, and we'd love to just address them as we're chatting with one another. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining Humanities Heart to Heart Live this morning. I'm Kathleen Kuo, and I'm a program manager for Nevada Humanities, which is our state's affiliate for the National Endowment for the Humanities. We create public programming for our state that shares and amplifies the ideas, traditions, and experiences of the diverse people of Nevada. I currently work to keep our newest program, Humanities Heart to Heart, which is a series of essays and multimedia presentations reflecting on what it means to be human during this time of pandemic. My hope with Humanities Heart to Heart is that reading, watching, and listening to these stories that we share every week will create opportunities for connecting the reader and the writer and allow for these moments of learning and positive self-reflection as we tell the human story. So when you come to our website, my hope is that I just want you to come away with a better perspective of what it means to be a Nevadan during this time, but also a human. And so I'm really glad that we're joined by Iain Watson today, who wrote The Hermit for our website last week. Iain is the co-founder and director of Spoken Views Poetry Collective in Reno. He also works as a third grade teacher, and he's a talented hip hop writer and MC. So Iain, thanks for being here today. I'm wondering if you could just start out by telling our viewers a little bit about that piece you shared with us and maybe where that name came from, The Hermit.
Oh, yeah. So The Hermit came from the album I recorded over about the last year or so. I mean, it was off and on, but the final title is called The Hermit. I was kind of interested in making it in relation to the tarot, and that was originally my thought of like a thematic idea. But yeah, I just kind of fit with the way the pandemic has made us just kind of being in the house and not really going out. And just it worked out. And I figured that's a good title for the essay as well.
Yeah. I actually didn't get that tarot connection. So that's, now that you bring it up, I really like that. Learning.
Yeah. If you look at the cover art that I did, it's kind of based on the tarot card, the Hermit. If you see the man with the staff and the lantern and stuff.
Yeah. So I was wondering, this is so interesting to me. I never heard of spoken word until actually a few years ago. So I'm still pretty new to the scene and all that it encompasses. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about how you got into spoken word in the first place.
Yeah, so I originally started off writing when I was around 15, but doing hip hop stuff. My best friend at the time, we were just really influenced by the MTV generation and watching music videos. And he started DJing, and I wanted to DJ as well. But I decided just to write, just to kind of have, feed off each other and kind of have that DJ rapper relationship.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I was always like into writing. So I just kind of started writing and doing hip hop stuff, and eventually it opened the door to spoken word. But the biggest influence to me was I was at a hip hop show in San Jose, and I was watching this group called Atmosphere. They're huge now, but the opener, his name is Idea, and he was probably like a year older than me, and just amazing talented rapper. And unfortunately he took his life some time back, but he just at one point he stopped the music and did a spoken word, and I had never heard like a rapper just like stop and just do something like so heartfelt, so emotional. And I was just like, my jaw just dropped, and I was like, whoa, like I want to do that. Like that was like something I wanted to add to my skill set. And so I probably shortly after that I experimented with just writing spoken word, and a lot of my friends were like, wow, I think they like my spoken word better than my raps. I just like the freedom of having more room to work with when you're writing. Than hip hop, you're kind of confined to like a beat.
Yeah.
I just started doing that, and I felt comfortable. I was getting a lot more confidence doing spoken word than anything else. So I just kind of ran with that, and it just kind of became part of my repertoire.
Nice. Yeah, and then you started this collective in 2006, right? So it's
Yeah.
been a while. Wow. I just realized it's 2020, so it's 14 years.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think about that. Yeah.
Have you seen it evolve over time? Just like the spoken
Yeah.
word scene in Reno and yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't have a spoken word scene. I think at one time we did have like a little poetry group. But yeah, that's kind of it came about with a friend of mine, and we were both doing hip hop at the time, but we both loved spoken word, and I think we both like had some spoken word already, like that we were writing at the time, and yeah, we were kind of like Reno doesn't have a spoken word scene, and we are always interested in creating something like that. And there was a tea house I was frequenting a lot, and they were kind of asking us to do an event there. And we thought, well, let's do a spoken word event. That seems cool. And maybe mix some music. We had some friends that were musicians. And so luckily we had a good group of friends already who were doing spoken word. And, we were able to put together a little event. We actually called the event Spoken Views. We didn't really intend it to turn into a collective or anything. So, yeah, we just kind of ran with that, and it went over well. And they offered us a monthly at the tea house, and so yeah, we just kind of ran with that kind of idea, and eventually more people came. We'd switch venues off and on, throughout the run of our collective. Now at the Holland Project, which is a nonprofit organization geared to the youth, and they throw just so many cool things like workshops, and it's an all ages venue for music. They bring in amazing musicians. They have an art gallery, just a lot of community outreach. So they wanted us to be kind of part of their vision, and so yeah, we do a monthly at Holland Project. But yeah, it's definitely evolved. I mean, I've seen so many members come and go, and it's kind of heartbreaking when you see some of those members that are just so talented, and then they move on to bigger and better things, which I'm so proud of the direction that they go in. But I'm glad this is could be a springboard. And yeah, but it definitely has changed. We've tried to get more youth involvement, so that was kind of a focus at one time, is to go into the high schools and recruit some students that were interested. And we had a good run a few years ago, and we're able to send a team to Brave New Voices, which is a national competition for the youth. And so we were able to do that 2 years in a row. I think it was 2 years. But yeah, it was a really cool opportunity to reach out to the youth, and we're still trying to do that. I think it's so important to get the kids involved in this art form.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering, how has the pandemic affected these events of yours then?
Pretty drastically. I mean, it's an in-person thing, so yeah, we of course everything shut down, so we weren't able to throw events, and we experimented with some online things that I mentioned in the essay. We did kind of a pre-recorded thing where it was a submission, and it was kind of put together in a really creative way. It's kind of funny to watch, but yeah, it was a cool idea. And then some other poetry groups were doing Zoom poetry mics, so we thought we'd give that a go, and we did a poetry open mic via Zoom. And it worked out well. It was actually a pretty easy thing to navigate through. But I think Zoom is charging now. I heard. I think the free trials are over. So, I mean, we can use some of our money if we need to, extend that and do it for a monthly. But I think that's kind of the idea, is just to continue doing Zoom until we can get back in a venue, or we might even try to do something outside. I haven't really talked to the collective. This is our time off right now. Yeah. So, but I do need to get a meeting with them, actually thinking about it. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what you're saying about trying to get more youth involved, which I think is so great. And yeah, absolutely. And connecting this to sort of your work as a third grade teacher, do you ever bring this into the classroom? Like, do you have your students do anything along the lines of this?
I haven't really got to that point where I feel comfortable like gearing it towards third graders, just because they're still learning how to write. So it's asking a lot. But I do take advantage of poetry things that pop up in the year. The planetarium does a annual poetry contest, and they give like a theme, and students write to it. And one year I had a student, I think, place second. she was a really good writer. I was like just blown away that she had a command over poetry. So I was really stoked when I kind of discovered that, this girl could write that way. So I promoted and helped. I didn't write anything, but I just kind of guided her towards polishing her piece up. And it was so those kind of things I'm willing to work with when there's guidelines, but start teaching kids spoken word. It's possible. I mean, I just think there's so much new curriculum that's thrown at us and challenges that even to like stop and say, oh, I think I can do this. I'm not there yet because we just got a new ELA curriculum, and that's, we didn't even finish it last year because of the pandemic. So we're still learning how to navigate through that. So I think once there's some, like I get really comfortable, I might start looking into incorporating that with my teaching.
Yeah. Like an after school thing someday, like if everything that could be really neat.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm always thinking of ways to have community outreach and get kids interested. It's challenging though with the way social media and everything is just, trying to appeal to that.
Right.
Kids who just like, I don't know, it's still a challenge in figuring out how to navigate that.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about some of these other projects that you're working on. So, you just have The Hermit, which I hope everyone goes and listens to. You can find it online. But what do you have beyond that, like planned for the rest of this year?
So I'm working currently I've been working with a friend of mine. We recently ran into each other at spoken views event, and I had known him for like since I think he was a senior in high school. I'm a year older, and he started writing and rapping, and he does kind of poetry and hip hop stuff. And he was kind of looking for a producer, and I said, hey, I'm experimenting with beats. Let's see if we can do something. And it's been a really good run with both of us. So I've been working with him in the last year, and we should have a project out. I don't know, whenever he decides that he's ready to finish it up. He writes a lot, so he's been challenging me. We've made 10-minute songs, 20-minute songs. So, just learning how to make a beat expand that much has been a challenge, but it's been fun. I really enjoy the challenge. And then I'm working with our Reno Poet Laureate, Pan Pantoja, and we're just putting together a little 6-song EP with mostly my beats. I'm on a couple tracks, and it's just him kind of doing his thing over my production. And I kind of gave him. We'd done a song a few months back, and his name's Pan. My hip hop name is Emic. So I was like, oh, pandemic.
Yeah.
I was like, we have to do something. I'm like, like it just seems to fit, So we kind of just playing off the pandemic word with our names, and thought it'd just be kind of a way to just get something out. So yeah, I'm in the process of mixing it down. We still have one more song we got to finish, but yeah, those are pretty much the two projects. I have another friend who wants to work with me, but I'm going to start teaching, so I don't know how much time I'm going to have to dedicate to this stuff. But I'm just happy that I'm able to continue making music and being creative, because I took some time off, and this just feels good to be back in the creative process of making music and writing again.
Yeah. So in the comments, Nate asks, how can our youth get started in music in 2020? Easiest way? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know where you're at, Nate. The Holland Project, I can't promote them enough. That's the best avenue if any youth wants to get exposed, to get inspired, and to look for an opportunity, is through the Holland Project. That's if you're in Reno. I don't know if Las Vegas has like a similar youth organization, but I would just kind of look at your community and see, what's available as far as all ages venues, just things that are trying to promote that for kids. I always tell people in Reno that if it's not here, create it, because it's such a small city, and it's forever evolving. And I think like that was why we did started a spoken word collective, is because we didn't have it, and it's easy to get things started in a small city where you're not competing with a bunch of different organizations doing the same thing. So I just think exposure and even creating events yourself if you have the energy and ability to just look, trying to find community partners.
Yeah, I love that. If it's not there, try to create it yourself because, as you said, you started this thing, 14 years ago, and I think it's just touched so many people's lives in a really positive way. So,
yeah, it's been powerful. I mean, there's been times where I've wanted to walk away from it and just hand it over to someone else. And then there's those nights where it's just magical. You just see certain people go up there and you can just feel their energy and just feel that they're, it's just hitting them at a way deeper level, or just the audience, someone comes up and says, wow, that was like the most amazing thing I've seen. And, there's those little reminders that the community needs this. I mean, we might only have 20 people that attend our events, but, it just takes that one person to get inspired or just feel like that's their home for the, once a month. That is important.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, where does the name EMIC come from? That's really interesting.
Oh, so it's actually an anthropology term. I was going by EMC at one point. So because my name's Iain and people call me E, and I was like, oh, E the MC, kind of playing off Run DMC. I was like really into old school hip hop at the time, so I was like, oh, that could work. There's actually another artist I discovered named DMC, so I was like, oh, that's not going to work. That person's already more established than I am. So I was in anthropology class in college, and that word came up, and I was like, that's a cool word, because there's like the E and then the mic, MIC, so, rappers love the microphone. So, we're just like, all right. So I was like, that's perfect. And then, just kind of looking into the origin of it, I was like, it fit pretty well.
Right. Because it's like it on your own perspective, right? Like the EMIC perspective.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to the ETIC. ETIC. So, I just like it fit, and I just like the way the word looked, and like I said, the definition of it fit well with like being observant of what's around you and take I just kind of ran with that, and it worked, and yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like as I'm talking to you, I'm discovering all these new things. It's like learning about the hermit and the tarot card. I'm like, yeah, I see that now. And then learning about EMIC, it's like, yeah, like a mic drop.
I do a lot of nerdy things with my music, and a lot like there's things I explain about my album to my friends, and they're like, oh my, you did that? Like, like this track countdown is all numerology. Every 2 bars, I'm counting down from 10. I don't say I'm going from 10 to 0, but if you really listen closely, the first 2 bars are everything that's in a group of 10, everything in a group of 9, and it just counts down from there. So most people, don't catch that. But when I explain it to them, their mind is blown. They're like, oh my God, how did you come up with that? So I try to take a different approach to hip hop. I'm not a typical hip hop artist. I mean, I know that's probably one thing I know the most about is the hip hop culture. But the one thing I've learned is just create your own lane. Don't try to sound like anyone else. Don't try to do what everyone else is doing. So just kind of, I try to take my writing in a little different way when I can and touch on topics that sometimes people don't touch on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, does anyone else who's watching, thank you all, by the way. If you have any questions for me or Iain, feel free to drop them below. I wanted to try and keep these short, so if you don't have any questions, I thought we could just wrap up a little bit here. I just have a couple more questions for you, Iain.
Okay.
Cool. So this is kind of a tangent, but I noticed that you said that you're a 5th generation Nevadan, and that's so interesting to me because I just moved here last summer. So I know that Las Vegas tends to be a pretty transient. People are always moving in and out. So the idea of having a family, with roots, that have been here for a while in the state, I really that's just so cool to me. So I'm just wondering, with that legacy, do you feel like that ever plays a role in sort of how you think about music or your role here?
I mean, I think there's a certain pride that you carry when you do have roots here, and you do want to uplift the community. I think I've always been kind of a defender of Reno. I mean, when I was younger, it wasn't a great place to live. There wasn't a whole lot going on here. But it goes back to what I said, is just when you don't see something that you want in your community, you can create it. And I think that's why I found the beauty in Reno is just it just had this potential to become something amazing. And I think we're seeing it to a degree. There's a lot of amazing artists. We have, a lot of support in the arts here, which I love, and just the talent that's coming out of here, and even just the people that have lived here and moved, and gone on to better, opportunities. It's just cool to know they're from Reno, because I've seen, a handful of people actually make a really good name for themselves in the arts and music. So it's just nice to see that. It's nice that Reno can be one of those places. And I think, having that Burning Man influence does kind of help the art community. And it's a beautiful place to live, really. We get all four seasons. We're up in the mountains. We have Lake Tahoe, just an easy drive. I've always wanted to move out and, live other places. I was able to travel. My mom worked for the airlines, so I'm able to fly for free. So, I haven't taken advantage of that as much as I wanted to, because it's expensive. It's still expensive to go stay somewhere and spend money and go sightseeing. But, I've been able to, and I did do a semester in Spain, in the Basque region. So that was eye-opening and a great opportunity. So, but yeah, I do like it here. But I am always curious to, think about living somewhere else. But at this point, I have a career, I have a good relationship. My parents are getting to that age where they need a lot more help, so I kind of have to be here for the time being. But I don't hate it here. It's comfortable, and it's easy to get around the community, and I can go places and know people. It's always comforting when you kind of just walk out your door and you can run into someone at any given moment and chop it up for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you have any last thoughts for your viewers before we close this out?
No, it's just like, if you feel inclined, check out, my Instagram has a link tree. I think it works. Sometimes I click on it, it doesn't work, but I think my phone's acting up. But yeah, our Spoken Views website's there. I haven't really updated it in a while, just because we're in hiatus. And my album link is there. You can check it out for free. And also, what is the other thing that's on? Oh, the article, the essay is up on the link tree. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out my art, and I'm always happy to collaborate when time is there. I always love to, just work with different artists in the community or even elsewhere. Technology is great for that. If anyone wants to check out my beats, and if you have ideas, I'm always willing to work with people. So yeah, just check it out, reach out to me. And if you're in Reno, Spoken Views usually happens on the third Wednesdays, but whenever that happens, we'll be back. And but yeah, I'm always happy to collaborate with community people and
Awesome.
just build.
Yeah. Nate asks, have you guys checked out Hip Hop Evolution on Netflix?
Nate,
yeah. Encourage you to reach out to Iain. Sounds like you have a real interest in hip hop, which is great. So hopefully you can connect with him.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I nerd out on that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, Iain. I really learned a lot, and I can't wait to keep following, your work and the work of Spoken Views Collective. So for everyone watching this, I hope you tune in to our next episode when that happens. Just keep an eye out on our Nevada Humanities social media. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, we often send a lot of updates there. And yeah, our next Humanities Heart to Heart comes out on Monday. So just keep an eye on our website every Monday. And, thanks for supporting us.